In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the free Buddypress plugin to create a type of social network on your WordPress site. You're going to be able to allow users to register and create profiles. They're going to be able to customize their profiles. They're going to be able to friend each other. They have activity feeds. They can use public messages. They can use @username comments to mention each other in their discussions. They can use private messaging. All the stuff you do on a regular social network, just without all the bells and whistles that Facebook pays millions for to create. So we're doing this for free. So it's not going to be as powerful as Facebook, obviously, but you're going to have a basic social network up and running today if you want it. And we're getting started right now. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. It's Bjorn from WPLearningLab, where we help you get better at WordPress so you can earn more for yourself, for your clients, and for your business. If you haven't done so yet, click subscribe, then click the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. And with that out of the way, let's head into screen capture and create our social network using Buddypress. I'll see you there. The first thing we have to do is install the Buddypress plugin. To do this, we go to Plugins and then Add New, and it's almost always one of the feature plugins. It is right here, but if you don't see it here, just type in Buddypress into the search bar, and it will show up somewhere near the top. I'm going to click on Install Now to install it, and then Activate. Now we're sent to the welcome screen for Buddypress that shows new features that they've added in their most recent update. It's always fun to read through these to see what kind of stuff they've added and what kind of stuff the Buddypress can do. What it has also done is added new menu items, one called Activity on the side, one called Emails, and under Settings there's now a Buddypress link. So I'm going to go to this Buddypress link first. This is where we set a bunch of the important settings. So first of all, if you want to make a social network type site, you're going to want to come in here and activate friend connections and private messaging. These are off by default. You're going to want to turn those two on, and probably even user groups, which allows users to come together and form groups around a common discussion thread. Site tracking, you can keep that on or not. That tends to add a lot of data to your database that may not be needed. But if you want to know about activity on posts and comments on your site, you can turn this on. The other ones are on by default. Read through the descriptions on the right to see if that's stuff you want. If you don't want it, just turn them off. It's no big deal. But we want these three that are off by default. Turn those on by clicking on Save Settings. And then we go over to Pages. And Buddypress has a bunch of pages that it needs. There's a Members page, Activity Stream page, User Groups page, Register page, and Activate page. Now these are often created when Buddypress is installed. If they're not created, you got to do it manually and add a shortcode. I'm just going to click on View to make sure it's here. So here's Members page. There's currently one member, which is just me. So that's not too impressive. Activity streams. Looks like so. And user groups. Like so. So all these pages exist and there's content there. So these pages are created by the plugin when it's installed, but sometimes they're not for whatever reason. So if they're not created when they're installed, you can create them manually, but it's going to Pages, Add New, then you create one called Members, one called Activity, one called User Groups. Don't put anything into the content, just name the title Members, Activity, Groups, Register, Activate, and then come back to this page, add them in the drop downs. So you find the page in here, select it, and then once you've added them all, save settings, and then the plugin is going to automatically find those pages and input the data it needs dynamically. So all you got to do is create the pages, add them in if the plugin does not create them for you, but usually it does. Next up is the Options tab. So the toolbar for logged out users, the very first option here, is on by default, but I turn it off. The toolbar is this bar up at the top of the page, which is great when you're logged in, but kind of pointless when you're not logged in. So I like to turn that one off. The other ones are fine the way they are, but you can have a quick read through them. The descriptions describe what they do. Allow registered users to delete their own accounts, yes or no. Allow people to upload profile photos, great idea. Upload cover images, also a great idea. Allow profile syncing between Buddypress and WordPress.com profiles, also a great idea. And then the group creation, group photo uploads, group cover images, also good. These uploads, of course, are going to go onto your server. So you do want to make sure that you kind of police that so people aren't uploading 10,000 photos, which could definitely impair your server's functioning. And this blog and forum comments selection is off by default, but it's just another way to allow your community to connect with you and your content. So I often turn this on because the more ways people can interact on your site, the better it is. The more social your site becomes, and it can eventually become almost like a social network. So I turn the first one off, turning this one on, and now saving settings. So now we have the settings of the plugin set up. Now we're going to get into actually using it. But the first thing we want to do is create a menu that has Buddypress options in it. So if we head over to Appearance and then Menus, we see there's a new option on this left panel called Buddypress. If we click on that, we see all of the Buddypress options in this menu. Now I'm going to add them all to the main menu just to show you what they all look like, and then you can decide which ones you want to have show up and which ones you don't. And it's important to notice that these options up here in this first box are for logged in users, and these options down here are for logged out users. So these will not appear if you're logged in, and these will not appear if you're logged out. So we're going to add all of these to the menu. It's going to be a mega menu up at the top, but that's fine. I just want to show you what this looks like. So we got to have them all up there somewhere. Let's just go to the front end of the site and see how that looks. Okay, so there's no menu there. So let's head back into our menus and go to Manage Locations to make sure we've actually added this menu somewhere. So we haven't. Both top menu and social links menu have nothing selected. So I'm going to select the main menu for the top menu and then save. Now go back out here, refresh. Now we have our menu up here. From activity onwards, those are all the things that we added for Buddypress. So if we go to activity, this will show the activity stream that someone has on your site. So this is the activity stream for my user, because I'm currently logged in. This is where their activity feed exists. So I can type in here, it's asking me what's new. Everything is awesome is what's new. Click on post update on the right. Now that's going to be added to my activity stream. Now if I have friends, which I'm going to show you how to connect friends in a minute, that will appear on their stream as well, which is pretty cool. So right now we see we have 0 friends, 0 messages, 0 groups, 0 notifications. And before we get into that, I don't like how this displays on the 2017 theme. 2017 does have a style sheet for Buddypress, but I'm not loving it. It goes all the way to the side over here. I think it might be something to do with my own 2017 install. Yours probably looks different, but I'm going to show you how to find a different Buddypress theme if you want to find Buddypress themes. So if we head back into our dashboard, go to Themes, and then click on Add New, and under Feature Filter, click on Buddypress, and then click on Apply Filters. Now we see all the themes that the developer has tagged as being compatible with Buddypress, meaning hopefully that it makes it look nice. So you can browse through these, pick one you like, and then see how it looks. I'm going to choose this one because it looks pretty snazzy. Just going to install that. I'm going to activate it. I'm going to head back out to my main site here and refresh this page. And I think that looks a bit better. It's a boxed theme, so it doesn't go all the way to the sides. And it's still nicely styled for the actual Buddypress functions. So these menus here, this is where a lot of action happens for your users. So this top menu, Activity Profile Notifications, all the way to Settings, is the main menu for their profiles. The second menu down here is a sub-menu of each one. So under Activity, we have the menus Personal, which is our personal feed, Mentions, if anybody mentions their username, and currently there's no activity because I haven't done @mention myself. There's the favorites. For example, if we go back to Personal here, we see under this update, there's a favorite. So if I click on the favorite, I will have now favorited that post. If I go to my favorites tab here, that now shows up as a favorite. So under any user on your social network after you build this, if I go and favorite whatever stream they have, or whatever update they have, it will show up here under my favorites. Then if I make friends, they obviously show in the friends list. Currently there's nothing, and same for groups. If I join a group, it'll show up in the groups list. Next menu option is profile. This is where we can change some of the settings on our profile. The first submenu is view, so we can basically see the base information of our profile, and my name is this. So if we click on edit, I can change this to Bjorn, which is more clear who I am. Then change that, click on save changes. The @ does not change. That is still the actual username someone creates when they log in, which I'll show you in the registration step further along. But I can change my username, how I appear on the site when I comment on things, which is going to be this. Change my profile photo. So here you can drag and drop to upload a photo or select from the hard drive, and that's going to replace this photo here. That'll also appear in comments that you make or that the user makes throughout the site. They're going to have their profile photo attached to that. Cover image is this image back here. This brown area is replaced, or sorry, this gray area is replaced by a cover image, and that just appears on your profile or the user's profile. Notifications is the next top level menu to look at, and this is where notifications come into you. And to go over what notifications are, we have to head back into our emails section here, which is one of the things that was added by Buddypress. And here's a bunch of emails that happen when, or that are sent when something happens. So this first one here, membership request for group rejected. So the situation, I'll show you how to create these in a second. The recipient has requested to join a group, but their request was rejected. And that would show up here as the notification if your membership was rejected. All of these emails that you see here come pre-built inside of Buddypress. You can go in and edit any of these. So maybe the membership request for group accepted. You can go and edit this. You can edit the text in the email. As it says at the top up here, phrases wrapped in the double curly braces are email tokens. You can learn more about them by going here. So if we open the Buddypress codex, it gives us all of the email tokens you can use. These are the global ones they can use anywhere. Activity tokens, there's a whole bunch. So if you want to customize these emails a lot, you can do that very easily with these tokens. And then just incorporate them in your email, however you want to make them. You can click on Add New to create a new email. And in this email, you type whatever it is you want to type. And on the right-hand side, you can choose a situation that causes that email to be sent. Now these emails that are sent, they also appear a certain way. So if we click on Customize, let's open this new tab, we can see in the customizer how these emails will appear. This usually takes a few seconds to load. This is the default appearance. I haven't changed anything. This is just how the plugin figured it should look. If you click on Header, you can customize the header area, the colors, the background color, all that kind of stuff. This WPPHD is pulled from the general settings. If you go to general settings, and then at the very top, you name your site. So the site title right here, that is what is pulled in to here. So if you don't like what it says up here, you can change it by changing this text. So you can customize the header, you can customize the body, and then you can customize the footer. Pretty easy. Then click on Save if you make any changes and want to save them. And then that template will be used for all of the emails that are sent out. And again, the emails you find under all emails, you can add as many as you want for various things. And then when a user receives one of those notifications, it shows up here under the notification section. Messages, these are messages between users. So if you want to friend someone, they get a request email under the notifications saying so-and-so wants to be your friend, then they can accept it, and then you can send messages back and forth. And these are private messages, and they will appear here. You have an inbox, you can star messages, there's a sent messages box, compose, and notices. Under friends, of course, it's going to be the list of all your friends. So you're going to have friendships listed by default here, and then the requests that you've sent that either have been not accepted yet or were rejected. Under groups, we have group membership lists and invitations to groups. So you can be invited to groups as well as you requesting invitations. And then settings is the last one. And this is where we set the email address for the account and password if we want to. Under email, we can then choose which notifications we want to appear. So in the emails, we saw the email that's sent out when your group request is rejected. That's this one down here. Your request to join a group has been approved or denied. If you don't want to get that notification, just set that to no. If you don't want to receive a notification when someone mentions at your username, set that to no. Go through all these, choose yes or no, or the user chooses yes or no, and they can decide what notifications they get and which ones they don't. Then they click on Save Changes, and that's how they do that. Now the next thing we have to do is actually allow people to sign up and make sure they can sign up. So if we go back into the dashboard, we have to go to Settings, and then General, I believe. Yeah, General, and under this membership section here, we have to make sure this is checked. Anyone can register. If they can't register here, then they can't join your social network. So it doesn't work. I mean, it's not going to work if they can't join. So make sure that is checked. Now I'm going to open in a new browser in Firefox, the site, and we're going to see what the experience is like for a user who just joins. We're going to make a brand new user account. So here's that new theme we installed. We have up here, login and register links. Remember, these ones appear for people who are logged out. And if we go back to being logged in, all of these menu items appear when someone is logged in. So Buddypress automatically switches those out for you. You don't have to do anything to do that. Just have to add them to your menu. So we can either log in if we have an account, or alternately, if they want to make an account, they register. And these are the default fields that are required when someone joins. You can actually add more fields. So let's say for the username, I mean, these are standard here: username, email, password. The profile details, we just have a name. Maybe you want to have in there your favorite color or gender or whatever else. You add as many as you want. Don't want to add too many because then people won't sign up. But add as many as you want. If we head over to users on the main dashboard, we go to profile fields, which is a link that Buddypress has added. Click on add field. We can call this, what's your favorite color? Description, not really needed. You can choose what type of box it is. In this case, text box makes the most sense. Make it required or not required. I'm going to make it required here. And visibility is the ability to make this field visible when someone registers, visible to everybody on your network. So if you keep this at everyone, that means if someone puts in the color blue here, anybody else on the network that visits their profile can see that they chose the color blue. The second option, allow members to override or enforce visibility. So if you allow them to override, they can actually select whether they want that visible or not. By default, it will be, but they can turn that off. If you use enforce field visibility, that means they can't turn it off. Whatever you choose here, they cannot change. So this allows users to change settings. This allows them to change nothing in regards to visibility. You can choose different visibility settings. And this last section here, auto link. So if we auto link this and someone entered the color blue as their favorite color, on their profile there'll be a link that says blue as the answer to this question. If someone clicks on that link, it's then going to search the member directory for everybody who likes the color blue. So that makes sense for some of these questions and responses. For some it doesn't. Just pick the one that's right for you, then click on save. Now if we head back out to our registration page here and refresh, we now have another field added. What's your favorite color? Like I said, you can add as many as you want. Here, where we set everyone can see it, the user can change this to who they want to see. If we go back, just to prove to you how this works, go back and edit this, what's your favorite color? Change this to enforce visibility, and then click on update. Now when we head back out here and refresh, this change button is going to be gone. So they cannot change the visibility of this. Everybody will see their favorite color. So that's enough lollygagging. Let's actually make a user account. I'm going to call this account George. Add a email address that is probably not fake. So George might actually get an email. I'm going to make sure it's a fake one, george@george.com. And then we choose the password. So we have, as you saw, mismatch capability. So it checks to make sure they're both the same. Then also checks to make sure, or checks to assess the strength of the password. Very weak, that's fine. George and blue. Click on complete sign up for this person to complete their sign up. And that's how easy it is for people to register for your social network that you just created. So here it says you successfully created your account. To begin using this site, you will need to activate your account via the email we've just sent to your email address. So it's not good to have a fake email in there, which is good because it prevents or reduces the likelihood of spammers signing up for your account. However, we also have to manage signups in here inside Buddypress. So click on manage signups. Then we see George here. George has just signed up, shows the date he registered. We've sent him one email, which is the activation email, but we can also activate George manually by clicking on activate right here. And here's George's information, his email address, his favorite color. Click on confirm to activate George. Now we have no pending accounts. We have 3 participant accounts. If you click on there, George should be in there. George is not in there. George is a subscriber. Search for George. Here's George in our participants list. Now what George can do, now that we've activated it, this will work after he clicks the link in the email as well, is he can go ahead and log in. So I'm just going to click on this login link here, and now we can type in George's info, George, and then the password, and log in. So now the menu up here changed, as you see. It was login register before, but now George is logged in. Up here in the top right, it says Howdy George, and we have all these things that we had earlier, and we're on the home page. But we want to get to George's activity, so we click on activity, and these menus can all be changed. And even the login, like when someone logs in, you can have them redirected to a specific page using another plugin, but it can all be changed. So we have George here. This is George's profile, same profile as we saw with my own user account earlier. Now the pages that Buddypress created at first are not in this area. So if we go back into the main menu, click on menus, the one I'm looking for specifically is members. So we created a members page for the plugin initially. I'm just going to add that to our menu here. Now that we have actual members to look at, it's good to have a link to a members page. Save that menu, head back out here, refresh. Now we have our members link. And this is going to be a list of all the members that have registered in the Buddypress system. So we have George and Bjorn. I'm logged in as George. So I have beside my name, nothing, but beside Bjorn's name, I have add friend. So I can add Bjorn as a friend or request to be added. So if I click on this, we have a friend request that was sent. If we think Bjorn's taking too long or they're ignoring us or we don't like them anymore, we can cancel the request. But if we go into my other account over here, the other browser, and head over to activity, notifications, it all goes to the same general area. So under notifications, we now have one notification, which is I have a friend request from George. I can read it or delete it. I can open it to accept it. Click accept. Now this 0 beside friends here is going to turn to a 1, and there it's a 1 right now. No more pending requests, that's great. We head back first to friendships here before we go back to George's profile. So we have George as a friend. If I click on George, I can now cancel message, send a public message, or send a private message by just clicking on those buttons, and the message composer shows up. I'm just going to send George a private message. Hey George, this is private. If you want to send a private message, but you check this box, this is noticed to all users, that's kind of the opposite, contradictory. So you don't want to check that box, you just want to have it go to George. We have our message here, test, click on send message to actually send this to George. And then I'm going to go back to George after that one is sent, and I'm going to send him a public message so he can see the difference between the two. Click on George again, and now send him a public message. At George, this is public. Post in my profile is the only option, but there's plugins you can install to extend the functionality of Buddypress that add other options in here. Click on post update, and this will go to George's public profile. Okay, let's go back to George's area here. Go to George's activity stream. So when users register for their site or for your site, the activity stream is where they're most likely spend most of their time. Now we've done a lot of things since we're last on George's profile. We've added him as friend 3 minutes ago. We sent him 3 notifications, or the system did, based on stuff that we've done. The first one is Bjorn mentioned you because we sent him a public message. Bjorn sent you a private message. Bjorn accepted your friendship request. So the private messages we can find right here under messages. So this is the subject line test. That was a private message. It's labeled in or highlighted in yellow because we haven't read it yet. We can delete it. It's got all kinds of information. You can click on the subject line to open the email or the message and see what it says. And you can reply back. Under notifications again, let's go back and see the @mention one. So Bjorn mentioned you, and this is what I mentioned. George, this is public. Now this shows up on George's activity stream as well because it's public. So if I as George comment back, yes it is, and post that, and then we go back to my own activity stream here, and refresh, we see we have George, this is public. George says, yes, it is. So if George wants to see the way I'm seeing it here, under the what's new with the updates and the smaller shrunk down menu and see a conversation here, George, or the user, will have to click on members up here. This is not in their regular activity feed. They click on members, and then it has the conversations listed with all the members that they're friends with, or here are all members. And then if we just click on friends, it'll filter it for just the friends and the conversations you have with them. So you can have conversations, you can mention any member. So that's why we have the all members list and the friends filter. So you can mention any member and the conversation will appear here, and you can filter just by friends that you've mentioned. So if we click on that member's name, we then see the thread of the public messages, which we see here. And then anybody can come in and reply. It doesn't have to be friends because it's a public message. And that's the definition of being social. So that's really the bulk of what this plugin does. There are a couple of tweaks you can do. This sidebar here, we can update that by going back into our admin and going to appearance and then widgets. We have some Buddypress widgets available. So I'm just going to add all of them. See what they all look like. Friends and groups and login and members, activity, site-wide notices, who's online. So that's a lot to digest. Refresh this page. So up here, we have Bjorn's friends. Currently, George. Recently active members. George, Bjorn. Obviously these little avatars aren't that great, but when someone adds a profile image, it will show that image here. Who is online is currently who's logged in. So this would be a list of all the people logged in. Groups, members, and George can log out. The last thing we haven't really covered yet is groups. So if we head over to groups here, also actually one last thing about activity, you as the admin can go to this activity tab and you can supervise all the activity in here. So if someone's trolling your forum or trolling your social network, you can mark the comments as spam, you can delete their user account, you can do all kinds of stuff in here as the admin where you can review everything, which is pretty handy. Under groups, we can create a group. WordPress. This is a WP group. Click on create group and continue. Then we have privacy settings. Is this group public? Is it private? Is it hidden? Which members of this group are allowed to invite others? So maybe all members can invite people, maybe only the admin and the mods can, only group admins can. Set the settings how you prefer them, and click on next. We see the group actually already appeared on the right hand side here with a 3-person avatar, which we can update on this page where we are now. Upload a photo for the group if we want to. Then we upload a cover image here. I'm going to skip both those steps. Then we can invite people. I'm just going to invite George. Click on finish. Now we have a new group with a list of admins. Currently, just I am the admin, and we have one member, which is George. We can send more invites. We can manage the members in the group. If we go back to George's profile over here and go to his notifications, we see we've been invited to the group WordPress. Let's click on this message to see what it says. This is the WP group, which was the description that we entered. George can click on accept to accept the invitation or reject to reject. I'm going to accept it for him. And now, group invite accepted. Under groups, I now have a 1 to list all of the groups that I have. Actually, I'm already there on the memberships tab here. This is where the groups are. We can leave the group if we want to. We can click on this WordPress link here to discuss in the group. So what's new in WordPress? This is the group name. So if I called the group Dragon's Den, it would say what's new in Dragon's Den. Now, as we saw earlier in the settings, we're allowed to set who's allowed to invite users. Anybody, admins and mods, or just admins. The importance of this is that if you have a large site with a lot of groups, you as one person or a small team, it becomes hard to handle all this stuff. So quite often you find people who are very active and responsible using your site all the time, and you ask them whether they want to be a moderator. And if they say yes, let's say George wants to be a moderator, we go back into our admin area, our dashboard, WordPress dashboard, and then we click on users, all users, go and look for George. Then we're going to click on edit under George's name, and we're going to find the role drop down and we're going to change it to moderator. Go to the bottom and update user. And now George is a moderator. Now in here, he might not show up. I'm just going to refresh. This says group admins, doesn't say group admins and mods. So he might not, yeah, it doesn't show up here. So I'm still the admin, but now George is a moderator of the group. And he may have received a message as well. Let's see if he did. No, he didn't receive a message, but he's a moderator, which means he can moderate comments. He can stop trolling. He can stop flaming. He can invite users to groups that only mods and admins can invite users to. So it allows you to hand off some of the group management responsibility to people who use your site a lot and who you know to be responsible. And that takes us to the end of the Buddypress tutorial. There's a lot of stuff going on. You have to go in here and check it out and try all kinds of stuff and play with it and really understand it, but I've covered pretty much everything it can do. The one thing you should definitely check out is other add-ons, other Buddypress plugins that allow you to extend the functionality of Buddypress. One big one is BBPress, which is forums. These two plugins used to actually be the same plugin. BBPress and Buddypress used to be together as one plugin, but they separated them a number of years ago. Now they're two separate plugins, but they still work as one when you have them both installed. If you're curious about BBPress, I've linked to the tutorial down below. So that's how we build our first basic social network. I hope this video helps you. If you haven't done so yet, click subscribe, then click the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. If you have any questions or run into any problems, leave a comment down below this video. And next up is clicking one of these videos that popped up on the right-hand side to get even better at WordPress. And until next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.